Friends, today I will discuss with you an approach towards ascertainment of Guna-karma of Anukta Ausadha Dravya. What is Anukta Ausadha Dravya? Anukta Ausadha Dravya or Nokta Ausadha Dravya is that Dravya substance which is not included in the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia of India or does not find place in available classics of different period of time. Now, what is the source of Anukta Ausadha Dravya? If you observe the slides, you will find that this has been initially observed by the cowherds, shepherds, hunters, those who reside in the forests, and the saints and seers. The question comes, knowledge of the drug according to this Charak Samhita and Sushrut Samhita. This knower of the drug were, as per the Sushrut, Gopalas tapasa vyadya ye chanye vanvasinah mulaharasya ye tebhyo 𝐕𝐤𝐬𝐬 𝐻𝐵𝐤𝐬. And Charak has also said in the similar way but differently, औषधि नाम रूपाभ्याम जानते यजपावने अविपाश्चैव गोपाश्चैव ये चान्ये वनवासिना. Means that those who reside in the jungles or the forest, cowherds, shepherds, the seers and saints, the tribals, they are the knower of the any drug substance, those are available surrounding them. Further, how the progress took place to know a dravya, to the Ausadha Dravya? The initial observation in the cows, shepherds, the hunters, the tribals observed the domestic animal eating any plant surrounding them. This information was gathered and then passed to the seers and saints of the different geographical regions, and they analyzed the drug having the different type of actions, and ultimately certain principles were laid down regarding the properties and action of a unknown drug. This initial observation in nature can be understood through three examples. In nature, they observed that whenever a nakul or the mongoose fight with the snake, the nakul takes the plant part and fight with the poisonous snake, which ultimately doesn't harm the mongoose. And basis on that, the plant name was coined as a nakuli. This is Aristolochia indica, identified later on about the nakuli. The another example of the cow eating the tuberous root of the asparagus racemosus, which is well known in classics as a Satavari, they observe that the total input or the milk in them is increased multiple times. Third example of the wild boar, Vanyavaraha, who whenever eats the Varahikand, Dioscora bulbifera, and continuous eating of that increases the mass in the Varaha. In this way, these initial observations were recorded not only in a particular place but throughout the different geographical region, and the action of those unknown drugs were recorded. Later on, Punarvasu Atreya with his disciples discuss this all matter before his disciples in the way of the question and answer, and satisfied them about the properties and action of the drugs which were found in different parts of our country. Agnivesh was the brilliant disciple who wrote this in the manuscripts, and later on this was published. Now, this rational use of Dravya in Ayurveda can be understood in the following way. Initial observation in animals, as shown you, then observation based experience in the human, followed by analysis of the experience in animal as well as in human. A hypothesis was made, and when multiple times this observation was recorded in different species, animals, and later on in human beings, the principle, concept, theory was established. This is an example how this was happened. As I told you earlier, mongoose whenever fight with the poisonous snake eats the one plant part, that is Aristolochia indica or the nakuli in Sanskrit, and this first observation, when experienced many times by human beings and in different geographical region, the effect of that was analyzed, and that experience, basis of that experience, a hypothesis was made, and ultimately the certain principles, observing multiple times, analyzing that those plants which have the effect of anti-poisonous put in a category of 𝐕𝐸𝐬 as 𝐕𝐸𝐬-karma. In early classics, regarding the Ausadha of a Dravya, it is stated that there is no substance in the universe which is available, is not used as a Dravya or the drug or Ausadhi, provided that the purpose of use is understood. On this basis, the rational use of the drugs started. Now the question comes, what is Dravya? As said in Charak Sutristan, all the substance, sarvam dravyam panch bhautikam, all the substance in the universe are essentially composed of 5 primordial elements or the proto-elements, and with the following stages. In the initial stage, these 5 proto-elements, the different composition of the Mahabhut combined together and forms to a Dravya. Now, how this takes place? In first stage, the following Mahabhut formed from Akash to Vayu, Vayu to Agni, Agni to Up, and finally Prithvi. Each Mahabhut have its inherent property in the form of the Sabd, Sparsh, Roop, Ras and Gandh. Now the question comes, how the Akash is formed? It is beautifully defined in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Pranavah sarva vedesu sabdah khesu paurusam nirsu. Pranav or the Omkar is the Sabda Brahma. This Sabda Brahma forms the Akash Mahabhut, and from Akash to Vayu, and then the Agni, Up and Prithvi in same order. That stage was the different separated forms. Now, in the formation of any substance in the universe or the Dravya in the universe, all those 5 proto-elements assemblage at one place, which is still invisible or imperceptible state. Now, in the next stage of manifestation, it is essentially predominance of particular Mahabhut is needed, then only grossness appears. In accordance with the predominance of a particular Mahabhut, a substance is designated as Akashiyam, Vayabhyam, Agneyam, Apyam, Parshivam. Important laws, 2 important laws are there to become the manifestation of any substance. In fact, it is influenced by Desh and Kal, geographical region and the season. When we say the Desh, means it is a particular time when a drug emerges out in the manifested form, and the season when the different parts takes for its matureness. Every substance which are in the universe can be understood, or you can say in another word, a Dravya is defined in following ways. Now here in Charak Sutra, first chapter, it is clearly spelled out, yatra svitaha karma gunaha karanam samvahiyat tad dravyam samvayitu nischestaha karanam guna. Meaning by guna is explained as that which exists inherent in a dravya, is non-inherent causative agent itself, lacking from property and action, means guna itself. Yogendra Sen has commented on this as followed, that the fundamental difference between dravya and guna is that a dravya is a substratum of attributes or the properties, and action, but similar is not in case with the guna, for the reason that guna and karma does not resides in guna. Now, three natural origin of any substance in the universe. As stated earlier, that all the substances are basically made up of 5 elements, essentially, say, and on the basis of their origin, they are broadly classified into 3 groups: Jangam or animal origin, Advid, plant origin, and Parthiv, minerals. Irrespective of their origin, as stated earlier, they are essentially composed of 5 proto-elements, which are known as the Panch Mahabhut, and according to their use, they are divided into Ausadha Dravya and Ahar Dravya. I mean, food substance and the drug substance. You can see that in Ayurveda, the animal and plant origin substances are used as a food substance, whereas including Parthiv or the minerals along with the Jangam and Advid Dravya are used as a drug substance. The minerals cannot be used as an edible substance. These are the classical examples. You can see the extreme left, the Gandhak below, and this above, the black bitumen or the Silajatu. And in the center, you can see the different part of the plant, Adatodavasica leaves, Solanum Janthocarpum canticari, Vivitak terminalia bellerica, and Satauri asparagus simosus. And extreme life, these are the animal origin, the milk and the honey, madhu. Further, how a dravya can be explained for its guna and karma. Ashwagandha is a drug, a substance which is used as a drug substance, provided that it has the following guna in it, like Laghu Snigdh, Madhur, Tikt, Laghu Snigdh in guna, Madhur Tikt in ras, Madhur in vipak, Ushna in virya. Those are the gunas residing in the ashwagandha, and on the basis of those gunas, the ashwagandha performs its action as brahmaniya, balya, and also used for the woman karma. Now, how this karma of a drug is known, or the action of unknown drug is known. This has been beautifully defined by Susut in Sutrasthan. Karmabhyassu anumiyante nana dravya sreyaha guna. According to Susut, the gunas of various parthiv, jangam, Ausadha Dravya can be inferred by observing the action. It means action of any drug is observed first and later on, based on the action, the different activity or function visualized externally or internally in a living body, the action of a drug can be explained based on the different gunas in them. This I explained earlier. In case of Shatavari, a cow is eating and was found that it enhances the milk, and this, how this happens? That gunas were evolved. In this way, the action-based classification has been given in Charak Samhita, like Jivaniya, Branganiya, Lekhaniya, Bhedaniya, Sandhaniya, Deepaniya, Balya, Varnya, and so on. Such 50 group of drugs based on action, analyzing the gunas in them, are listed, and each gun or the group consists of the 10 drugs. You can see that those action, their equivalent modern terms is also written: Jivani, that life sustaining, Sula Prasaman, antispasmodic, Krimigna, vermicidal, Stanyajanan, galactagogue, that is in case of the Shatavari, Sandhani, union promoting, Bhedani, scapula breaking, emaciating, or the Lekhani. Now one can find out the all such drugs listed in Charak Samhita, Sutrasthan, 4th chapter. Charak has said the scriptures are like light for illumination, and own intellect is like eye. Means with the help of the scriptures, you can take the lead to identify the unknown drugs, Anukta Ausadha Dravya, and can be included in different group of drugs, or one can coin the different groups of drug. This all is scriptures available with us beginning from the 3000 BC, means more than 5000 years from now. Initially, such Anukta Dravya made into Ukta Dravya, or the drugs of plant origin seen in the Rigveda Samhita. In continuation to that, in 1500 BC in Atharvaveda Samhita, and Susut Samhita, Charak Samhita in 1000 BC, then Ashtanga in 6th century, Siddha Yoga Sangra in 9th century, Bhaprakash Nigantu, and all those are included in official monograph, legal documents in Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India and Ayurvedic Formulary. you can see that this is evidence of that Charak Samhita and Sushrut Samhita, where the subdivision of Atharvaved, Vedo hi Atharvano, as written in Charak Samhita, in Sushrut, 𝐴 Ayurvedam Namopangam Atharvavedasya. This is the subdivision of Atharvaved. This means the origin of Ayurveda or the emergence of Ayurveda from the Rigveda to Atharvaved and further explained in Charak Samhita and Sushrut Samhita. Now the question comes, is there any evidence? Yes. You can see that in Atharvaved Samhita and Rigveda Samhita, the 𝐴RC, Pippali, 𝐾𝐻𝐿, 𝐴𝐿, Manduki, all those names are seen which have been botanically identified later on, which are mentioned in bracket. Now the further evidence, those plant drugs or Audbid Dravya which are seen in Rigveda and Atharvaved have the place in Charak Samhita and Sushrut Samhita. All those references are cited with 𝐴RC, Pippali, Palas, 𝐴𝐿, Manduki. The first drug is the 𝐴RC or the Calotropis procera, which is still available. You can find place in the pharmacopoeia. The second drug is Piper longum, Pippali. Upper one is the Palas, the Butea monosperma, Mandukparni or Manduki, Centella asiatica. Those drugs are seen right from the Vedas and later on in the different the classics. Now the question comes, how to include those Anukta Ausadha Dravya in pharmacopoeia, in Nighantus, and the challenges and prospects. Now what is pharmacopoeia? A pharmacopoeia is a book of standard describing the quality of selected drugs that are manufactured, distributed and sold by the licensed manufacturer. Means that the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia is an official document or a legal document where all the standard, the quality, safety and efficacy of the drug has been described. Now those drugs which are in classics later on included in pharmacopoeia, and that was applicable in 26 June 1995 under Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. Now this is the definition of an Ayurvedic drugs, which is very clear. According to the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940, Ayurvedic Siddha Unani drugs includes all medicines intended for internal or external use or in the diagnosis, treatment, mitigation, prevention, exclusively in accordance with the formulae described in the authoritative books of all text. Authentic books, when we say authoritative books, it means the Charak Samhita, Sushrut Samhita, 𝐻𝐿 and different Nighantus, where compound and the single use of the drugs is described. These are the authoritative books, Charak Samhita as well as the Susu Samhita. In fact, Charak was written by Agnivesh as Agnivesh Tantra. Later on, in 500 BC, Charak redacted it, and since then, the available Agnivesh Tantra was known as the Charak Samhita and is still available with the same name, and Dridhaval in 4th century completed the different chapters which were missing part of that. And in the end of the chapter it is written, Agnivesh Krite, Charak Prati Sanskrite, Dridhaval Sampurite. Susut also of the similar time was written by Virji Susut in 1000 BC, later on Susut in 500 BC, and in 5th century Nagarjuna completed it with the addition of the different natural origin of Parthiv Dravya. Susut from 500 BC, it is known as the Susut Samhita. These are the pharmacopoeia, different volumes published different time, where you can have all the details of the individual monograph on drug. Now this is just a glimpse to you about Anukta Dravya of Brihatrahi. Means these Anukta Ausadha Dravya which are not find place in Charak Samhita, Susu Samhita and Ashtanga Hridaya, where later on, based on their gunas and karma observed by the different scholars of different period of time, included in Ayurvedic classics, Nighantus, like Ahifene, Papaver somniferum, is cultivated in India. Originally it is from the Spain, Algeria and Greece, and this has find place in Sodal, Gadanigraha, where the properties, action and uses are ascribed. Similarly, the other drugs, Kumari, Chandrasur, Chopchini, Babbul, Japa, Ananas, those are of different places outside our country, Africa, Syria, Greece, China, Japan, Misr, Arab, China, Brazil, and included different period of time, taking the guidelines as ascribed in Charak Samhita and Susu Samhita for ascertainment of properties of an action of Anukta Dravya. Now, pharmacopoeia has also taken the lead and coined the Sanskrit name with their useful part and scientific name with author name, like for Kaju, Kajutak, Katugira, Hari Mirch, Kasni, Kasaudi, Gandharaj and Yugmapatra for its fruit. In fact, those which were coined the name were botanically identified and is included in the process of inclusion in the pharmacopoeia as Anukta Dravya. In conclusion, looking to the complete clear picture of my talk, that leads can be taken from the classics for finding out the karma of a particular unknown drug, and later on its properties based on which are not included in Ayurvedic classics. Those classics or the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia can be considered for its inclusion, as pharmacopoeia has taken lead to include them as extra pharmacopoeia drugs. But it is very important, when you are including them in the extra pharmacopoeia drugs, authentication of their useful part with the use should be ascertained. This is very important. That part is flower, which is use of any unknown drug, and by ignorance you have mentioned the fruit, which is not appropriate, and on the basis of all that, separate monograph is under revision, and before proceeding further, the proforma or the performa must be prepared so that gradually the extra pharmacopoeia drugs can be separately included.